Hi, it's John Cronshaw here with my author diary for the week ending October the 6th, 2024. I've had a busy week. I have been working on my book Forged in Blood, which is Guild of Assassins Book 2. I'm just past the halfway point on that, so that is going well. I'm enjoying the story. It's flowing very nicely, so that's always a good sign. I realised actually this week that I've been doing this author diary podcast now for 7 years. So every week for 7 years, I have been doing this, which is crazy, really. And I realised as well that you could listen to an episode a day for an entire year. I think there's something like 360, is this 367, something like that? So there's over a year's worth of content if you listen to an episode a day for a year. You could do that. So yeah, I've been doing this a while. And what is it? I've had a couple of questions this week. This is, I suppose, because of the 7-year anniversary mentioning that on my Facebook. So I've had some questions. I've had one from Martin. He asked 2 questions. So he asked basically, what's been my highlight and my low point of my indie author career so far. I'd say the high point isn't necessarily a single point, but it is being in a position where, my wife's not in teaching anymore, so she was able to go self-employed. We gradually transitioned her from being a full-time teacher with, responsibilities in her department. I think she was like second in department, and, going down to a couple of days a week and then leaving, and now she's running her own editing business and editing my books and things like that. So yeah, really pleased that I was able to use stuff that I've popped out of my imagination in order to pay for that. So that's amazing. Really grateful for that. I don't think that in any previous point in history I'd really be able to do that with independent publishing. So woohoo, that's amazing. In terms of low point, I would say it was when I had burnout. And I had burnout because I wanted to try and sell lots of books on TikTok. And so I was doing 3 or 4 videos a day. And then I was posting them on YouTube and Instagram and Clapper and all these different places, trying to get traction. Didn't work. It was a distraction. And I had some more worse months that I had, while doing that. And it just left me burnt out. And it was really weird. I think I'd watched a video. I came across a video basically on TikTok that was Lewis Capaldi. Not necessarily a fan of his music, but I think as a person, as a personality, he's quite funny. And he'd done a video that was him doing a song where he was just singing, making content for the algorithm. And he was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. And I just stopped. And I don't think I've posted since. And I don't think I've been on there since. So you've got Lewis Capaldi to thank for me not doing as much video content, not being on TikTok, not trying to do that stuff. And I think this also relates to a question from Alan, who asked, what would I do differently if I could go back? I mean, a lot of the stuff is all hindsight, isn't it? And hindsight's a powerful thing. But I think what I would do is get rid of as many distractions as I can and double down on what's working as quick as I can, and not be afraid to pivot if something isn't working, and not feel like, oh, I've started this series, I need to finish it or something like that, even though it's not selling, and it's like wasting months, if not longer, on something that just for the few people who've bought it, who've bought the first book or whatever, which is, it's kind of like I don't want to be one of those authors. I think that's what it is. I've got it in my mind. I don't want to be one of those authors who abandons a project or abandons a series, because, especially in the fantasy world, I think a lot of readers have been burnt by the likes of Patrick Rothfuss and George R.R. Martin, and I think disappointed by Scott Lynch. So I think his situation's a bit different. And yeah, look, series that people love that are that aren't finished. The difference is a series that I was desperate to finish, didn't have weren't selling millions of copies. So there's a difference that I failed to realise. So yeah, I think if I was to start again today, I would focus on one genre. I would focus on, just seeing what works, trying out different things, seeing what works, and then going with what works, doubling down on what works. There's a lot of things that I've tried over the years that have been distractions, really, that haven't moved the needle. And at the end of the day, I think what works for me is to write the next book and to put it out there and get readers and keep doing that. And yeah, that's what's worked for me. I think all the other stuff I've tried, like side project podcasts and things like that, they've not really done anything. Trying to build up YouTube channel. I think I've been trying for over a year I focused on it for a year this past year, trying to build it up. And, I've got 700 subscribers, which is great, but it's also not that many in terms of YouTube. So it's like, I just need to focus on what is good. But, I say this is the best advice, is to, focus on those things. But at the same time, I struggle if I'm just focused on one project. And in fact, I'm more productive if I've got different things shooting off in different directions, which is why I did the Punks vs. Zombies project, which isn't really my genre. But, whatever. I will have a trilogy to release next year based on doing a wacky side project. And so, I don't know. I like to think that I'm a fantasy author, but clearly there's always a pull to other genres. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? When you when you've been doing something for 7 years. And the thing is, with this industry, it does keep changing, and what used to work doesn't work anymore, and trends come and go. And yeah, I've learned to just take a long-term picture of it now, aim for perennial sellers rather than trends or what's selling this month, because I think with especially the authors who are using AI to put out a book every few weeks, it's like you can't compete. You can't you can't compete with fast turnaround on trends and things like that. So yeah, it's a constantly evolving thing, and I think there's just lots of new challenges that are coming in. Lots of things that used to be issues are going away. So yeah. There's the questions anyway. So in terms of reading, I'm still reading The Vengeful Spirit, which is book 29 in the Horus Heresy series. Grimdark, basically epic fantasy in space. Really enjoying the series. I think I'm like an hour from the end of the audiobook of this, so in the midst of an epic battle. I will probably carry on with the series after this one. I seem to go in and out with this series. Like sometimes I'm really into it, sometimes it's just like I can't be bothered. I think that's because you've got a lot of different authors working on it, a lot of different books in the series, a lot of different spin-offs and things like that. So yeah, I think there's just a lot of material, and let's just say some of it is of varying quality. So next week, carry on with the Guild of Assassins series stuff. So try and get a few more chapters done of Forged in Blood. I've also got Fantasycon next weekend in Chester. So this is a 3-day event, and I'm going to be speaking on 4 panels. So let me think. There's a panel on rogues, a panel on grimdark fiction, a panel on post-apocalyptic fiction, and a panel on disability. So they should be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. I will be there with my guide dog Digit. So if you are at Fantasycon and you want to come and say hello, feel free. Hopefully it'll be a fun time. My wife's also doing a panel on editing, so that should be exciting. So until next time, cheerio.